Okay, so good morning, guys. I can still, so few are joining with the personal mail ID. I hope everyone got your official mail ID. So please join with your official mail IDs. Okay, fine. So today we are going to start with object-oriented programming concepts. Sir, what is this object-oriented programming concepts? Why do I want to learn about these concepts? Please understand this. This is just a concept, and we are going to implement that concept using Java. And don't consider this as a language or as a subject or anything. It's just a concept. It's an object-oriented programming concepts, and we are going to implement these concepts using Java. Yes. Before that, I want to confirm that whether my voice is clear and my screen is visible. Yes. If my voice is clear and if my screen is visible. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Okay. So this about me, and yeah, I hope you everyone know this quote. This was a famous quote that was said by Bill Gates. I chose a lazy person to do hard jobs because a lazy person will find a easy way to do it. Do you agree this? This quote was given by Bill Gates and mainly for developers and programmers. So what is your opinion about this quote? So what is your opinion about this? Yes, guys, I hope you can see my screen. And I'm just asking, what is your opinion about this quote? It's true. Yes, it is true. Okay, just a minute. Just a minute. Okay, so guys, is my voice clear? Is my voice is clear? Yes, thank you. Yes, sir. So yes, so regarding this course, so this one normally is suitable is actually suitable for us. Actually, it is pretty much suitable for us because to do solve big problems, they always prefer a software engineer to solve that problem. So that is why we are learning more max-oriented concepts till our final semester. So either it will be a direct max paper or we'll be using some other paper to that relates to mathematics. So without mathematics, we are not going to do anything. Yes. So and this will also be useful when we are going to learn about Hoops concepts because Hoops concepts is a one thing or it is mainly main use for this is to reduce programmers' effort. That is the main purpose of my Hoops concepts. That's the main purpose of my Hoops concepts to reduce programmers' effort and to efficiently use the objects and to manipulate the objects so that the application runs efficiently. So that is the main purpose of my OOPS concepts. So before object-oriented programming concepts, we normally use a procedure language or we using a functional query. So during that time, each and every time I should have a global variable or a global declaration and should have each method should access different variables from different part of my functions or different part of my library files, which makes my application a little bit less efficient. Yes. So when considering C, so because the first, so we started to use OOPS concepts from C++. So before C++, we started to use C, and in the C, we are not going to use the OOPS concepts. So whenever I'm going to develop an application, so for example, if I'm, so I hope you know about the SCAD deploy. So CAD software. So CAD, which was used by mechanicals for designing, that was completely built in C. It is still using the same C files. MATLAB, that was used by EC department for network simulation, that was completely developed in C. Um, Similarly, there is a cloud sim. Cloud sim, cloud simulator. So like MATLAB, we have another one software called Cloud Sim, which was developed in Australian University, and that was developed by a team which was led by Rajkumar Bhuya. So he's also an Indian. So he works in Australian University, and he is the person who developed this cloud simulator. And that cloud simulator was completely developed in Java. When compared to this MATLAB, this cloud simulator will give you a complete environment and cloud, which makes the user to create n number of systems and to deploy an application and make how efficient that application is going to have. Yes. So this was possible only due to this object-oriented concepts. That was possible only due to this object because each system was considered as an object, and that object was given as separate properties, and that properties is going to limit my system, which will tell me the efficiency of my system. Yes. Yes, guys. So yes, I hope you all get my points. Yes. Yes, sir. So now we are going into object-oriented concepts. So these are the 5 and 6 major OOPS concepts that we'll be normally learning in any language. So those are the 5 or 6 concepts. Actually, we will not be considering this class and object, but without object, there is no object-oriented concepts. So they are added this class and object into this OOPS concepts. So object, yes, we already know. So a real-time entity is an object. A real-time entity is my object. So after that, we have a class. So class is nothing but a template for my object or an imaginary part for my um, um, imaginary part of my object. So class contains both state and behaviors. Yes. So the state and behaviors with values and the properties is called my object. Yes, each class has a state and behavior. So state is nothing but the properties. Properties are nothing but the variables, which we are using is called as a state, and the behavior in the sense it is called as a functions or methods that are inside my class. So these are the things that will be available inside my class. And inheritance. So inheritance. What is my inheritance? What is my inheritance? You guys tell me. What is my inheritance? It's a common term. Don't go for any programming term or don't go for anything. What is the inheritance? What is my inheritance? Inheritance. Just I'm inheriting something from my parents. Maybe I have inherited a character. Maybe I inherited a property. Maybe I have inherited characteristics from my parents. So like that. So we are going to inherit something from some other person. Yes. So consider the family branch. So my family branch is just a minute, guys. Okay. Sorry for the interruption. Okay. So something I have inherited from my maybe my parents or maybe from my uncle or my super seniors. So like that. So maybe I have inherited how the way to learn from my seniors or how to develop a project from my seniors. So the way or the process that we learn from someone. So that is a way of inheritance. In the same way, I can inherit some behavior from other class to other class. So that is possible in Java. So that is the inheritance concepts that we are going to learn. So how in a real world we are going to inherit something from other person in the same way we can inherit a property or a method from other different classes. So that is how I'm going to achieve that. So that is the way that we are going to learn in inheritance. So similarly polymorphism. So what is inheritance we cannot do with polymorphism? So it's inheritance also. So polymorphism in a sense what is polymorphism? Just a minute. Just a minute. Just a minute. Hello. Guys, is it still breaking? Is it still not clear? Hello. Guys, am I audible? Or is it still breaking? Okay, that may be due to some network issues. If it happens again, please stop me so that I will stop and then we'll start again. Okay. So this is what inheritance is. So now polymorphism. Polymorphism in the sense a same function which will do operation in a different way. So in a real-time world, I can tell that. So um, yes, so maybe we can consider the event, any event. So any event, so there will be a commentary box. So there will be person sitting there and they'll be talking something. So every person is going to
talk, correct? So even I'm going to talk, you're going to talk, or some person is going to talk. But the way the commentary person is going to give or deliver the speech is going to differ from how we are speaking with us. Yes. So we are also speaking, they are also speaking. But the way they were the way they are giving the content is going to be different from person to person. So that is an example for polymorphism. Speaking. So for example, I'm going to write an essay. Yes, if a good speaker will narrate the story, if I'm going to just to tell the essay, then I will just explain the story. A good speaker will narrate the same story. Meaning you can see the difference. So the same story that was delivered by two persons who's good in narration and who's not good in narration. A person with good storytelling capability will narrate the story and will deliver the story in an efficient way. But as normal filler will not be good. So he just read the content of the essay and he will be just moving out. Yes, the same essay was used by a different person in a different manner. Yes, so that is called polymorphism.
Still, voice is not clear. Okay. Okay, just a minute. Just a minute. I will do one thing. Just a minute. Okay. Hello, guys. Is it okay now? Is it okay now, or is it still breaking? Okay. Okay, fine. So yes, so there is one polymorphism. A same function with different parameters will produce a different result. Correct? Example, the two persons with narrating capabilities and the person without narrating capabilities. So that is called the parameters. So he has a capability to narrate a story, but the other person doesn't have a capability to narrate the story. Correct? So that is the parameter. So this is nothing but a same method with different parameters will produce a different result. So that is called polymorphism. That is how we will be achieving polymorphism in programming. Yes. Yes, we will be seeing in depth in when we are going to implement this polymorphism. Yes. So, but this session I'm going to just give an overview for what are the types of concepts there and what are the things that we are going to learn in this sessions. Yes. And abstraction. Abstraction. What is the abstraction? Don't go for programming words. Just a normal English word. What is by abstraction? What is the meaning for abstraction? What is by abstraction? Abstraction. It's a normal English term. The meaning for abstraction. Good. Showing the relevant part or hiding the irrelevant data. Very good. So that is an abstraction. Um, Maybe you'll be knowing that an abstract. Have you ever heard about a word called abstract? Abstract. So when we are going to write a paper or when we are going to write a thesis, we'll be having this abstract. Abstract. What that abstract contains? Abstract of my essay or abstract of my theory or my abstract of my content. Abstract. Okay, so there's a question. So from Vinith Krishna, sir, print of 4 plus 5 and print of computer plus science. Is this polymorphism? Okay, so what is this plus sign here? What is this plus sign? So first, in my first function, it is going to be act as an arithmetic operator. But in the second function, it is going to, but in the second function, in computer plus science, how that's going to work? Like a concatenation. Yes, so here the actual overriding happens only with the operator, not with the function. The function's property is to just print what are the things that are inside my bracket. Just 4 plus 5 is going to be 9 and the 9 will be printed there. And computer plus science is going to be considered as a computer science and that will be printed here. So the function takes whatever may be the value inside it, just take the value and print it. But the actual overriding happens only with the operator. Yes, Vinith, do you get that? So the overriding happens only with the operator. So that is not a polymorphism. Actually, that takes a value or the content inside that bracket and just going to print it. So it may be any value. It may be an integer, it may be a float, it may be a character, it may be a string. Just take the value and it will be printed as it is. Okay, we will be learning in a lot. Yes, that is also, we can tell that. Or in general, we can tell that as add of int comma int and add of float comma float. Yes. So this is polymorphism, the same function name with different parameters. Same function name with different parameters. Okay, that we will be learning in depth in the later part. Okay, so abstraction. Abstraction is nothing but just give the only the details. So what it requires. Yes. So for example, in the thesis paper, so if I'm going to write a paper in abstract, what I'll be doing, I have used this technology and I have created this. Yes. So this is what we have used in it. Yes. Okay, actually length is a Python function, so that is not happening here. And here it is going to be a yes, it is going to be a polymorphism. The same function with different operators or different properties. So first thing is going to take a string, and second one that is going to be a character array, and the second one is going to be an integer array. Character array and integer array, yes. So that is going to be an example for polymorphism. Okay. Okay, so coming back to abstraction. So abstraction is nothing but just gives the details for it, but it will not give the complete details. So for example, when you're going for an ATM machine, so what are the functionalities that I'll be able to see in this ATM machine? When I'm going for an ATM machine, so what are the functionalities that I'll be able to see in my ATM machine? So what are the things that I can able to see it? So that will give me an option like change pin or cash withdrawal or mini statement or something like that. It gives me some options, correct? Yes, but okay. So if I click on cash withdrawal, will it shows the how the cash is going to be taken from my account and how the process is going to happen and how it's going to send back my amount to the vending machine. Is anything is anything shown in that screen? Like after I'm entering a cash withdrawal and I'm entering the amount, so what happens is it will automatically do the process and it will just render the amount. Correct? Whether the machine is telling me that, so this is what happening now. So now I'm going to contact your bank, and from that bank I'm checking your account. From that account I'm checking your PIN. From that PIN I have entered your account. After that I have checked what is the minimum balance in your bank and how much amount you are having, and from that what is the amount you require. So from that I'm going to take this much amount, and it's going to render it in that machine. So these are the steps that is actually going to happen after I click on withdraw cash, correct? But whether these steps has been shown to the user who's going to use that machine, whether these steps are going to be shown to the user. So whenever he goes and clicks for cash withdrawal, whether it has been showing, whether it's going to be shown. No, that is the abstraction, correct? Just showing only the relevant data. So what I'm going to do, just withdraw my cash. Just clicking on withdrawal, automatically it will call the function, and that function will do all the process, and that will return the output to it. So just give me the result only. So just show the relevant data and hiding all the irrelevant data. Correct? All the process, all the functions, all the objects, all the classes, anything that is going to happen in the backside is going to be hidden. So that is the explanation that as your friends has shared. So your friends, so two of your friends has shown that. So like showing relevant data and hiding irrelevant data. So that is the meaning for this. So Saravanan B has told that showing relevant data. That is nothing but the operations that I'm going to do in a thing. So just these are the operations that I'm going to do. That is showing relevant data and hiding irrelevant data in the sense like the backend process or the functions or methods that is going to happen whenever a process is going to be initiated. So that is hiding an irrelevant data. So both the things are correct. So showing relevant data is also abstraction, or hiding irrelevant data is also an abstraction. Yes, yes, sir. So next, encapsulation. So what is meant by encapsulation? What is meant by encapsulation? What is meant by encapsulation? Encapsulation. Encapsulation. Guys, lateral entries are here. Lateral entries, Prasanna, Tejaswin are here. And it's Ashwin. Ashwin has got a mail ID. Okay. Okay, I hope you already logged into your classrooms, and I hope I have already uploaded all the session materials with the video contents in the Google Classroom. I hope you all received it. So only day 6 is pending. So I'll be uploading it by the end of day or by tomorrow morning. You'll be getting it. By the end of day, I'll be trying to upload all the contents. So day 6 will also be available there. Okay, so what is meant by encapsulation? Encapsulation. So what is meant by encapsulation, sir? What is encapsulation? So I'm going to encapsulate something. Don't go for programming terms, just in a real-time world. Combining or binding. Except Suganesh, no one is ready to, no one knows what is encapsulation. Yes? Encapsulation. So consider the chocolate. Binding data into single is good. Just don't go for programming terms, because that will not, the way that we are going to achieve is going to be learning today. But first you want to understand every concept is going to be is developed based on the real time scenarios. All the object oriented programming concepts was developed or constructed in the sense it is going to relate to all the real world entities, it is mainly the main focus for this object oriented concepts is to all the programs or all the things that we are going to develop, all the applications that we are going to develop should always map to a real time object. So that is the reason why we are going for this object oriented programming concepts. So in the sense, correct. So wrapping. So consider the chocolates. So how the chocolate will be there? So actually the chocolate is the actual content I'm going to taste it. Correct. The chocolate is the content I'm going to taste it. Whether the chocolate is kept in an open space, how the chocolates are delivered to us, or it will be sold to us. You can take a chocolates, or you can take a tablets, or anything, any product. So nowadays if a courier is coming, so whether they are delivering the product as a in by hand, or what they're doing, they are keeping the product inside something and they're closing in a, yes, they're covering up, or they are enclosed in something. Correct. They're wrapping up this data, they're wrapping the content with something, either a box or either a cover or either something. Yes, so that is called encapsulation. Yes, we are going to hide something inside something. For example, chocolate is wrapped inside a cover. So product is kept inside a box. Correct? Sweets kept inside a sweet box. Correct? Everything is wrapped inside something. Yes, whenever I'm going to start to use it or I'm going to taste it, then only I'm going to take that out of my cover or take it out of my box. Yes or no? So that is the encapsulation. So we are going to hide something. So if I keep a product in the open space, and it is easy for everyone to access it, correct? Everyone to access it. If I kept a chocolate in an open space, what happens? Just I am opening a chocolate and chocolate wrappers and just keeping the chocolate in my table. What will happen? What will happen if I kept a chocolate in an open space? Either it starts to melt, or it will be taken by either ant or by houseflies or something. It will start to take that. Yes or no? Or it may be stolen by some other person. Yes or no? So this is what happens. So this is a real-time example. So that is what we are going to do in our programming. So in our Java program, so we are going to implement all these concepts using Java. But in programming also, we are not going to keep an object in an open space. If I want to access an object, then I should have a certain procedure to access these objects. So that is what encapsulation. So in programming, we are going to achieve this encapsulation. There are many ways of encapsulation. There's a way of encapsulating a class. There's a way of encapsulating an object. There's a way of encapsulating a methods. There are different ways of encapsulation is there. But till now, there is nothing has been achieved as a complete encapsulation. Till now, it is not yet achieved. But still, encapsulation is evolving. Encapsulation is still on evolving phase, because initially they have encapsulated only the object. So later they started to encapsulate a class. So later they encapsulated a complete methods and also class. So like this, the encapsulation has evolved from one thing to another thing. So this is what the encapsulation is. So just hiding up of my data. So initially it was hiding up of data. So later it was converted into hiding up of data and methods, and binding up of data and methods and hiding it together. So that those who want to access my object, they have to come through this specific channel, or they have to access only through this. If I'm the person who's going to sell the chocolates, then they have to come to me and they have to get the chocolates. So the persons who I want to deliver these chocolates, for that person only I will be sending the chocolates. Suppose consider I'm the package, or I'm the Java package. I'm having all the classes in that is going to be sold. That is going to be a chocolate, that is going to be a pen, that is going to be a pencil, that is going to be a notepad, or that is going to be a notebook, anything. I have all these objects with me, but I'm not going to sell all these objects to all the persons who are going to come to my store. Just I'm going to sell only the persons who's going to ask me about chocolate, or only those who are going to ask me about pen. Yes. So this is what encapsulation. I'm having everything, but I'm not going to access everyone to access everything that is inside my class. Just I'm the person going to let that person to take what the things that they want. Correct? This is what encapsulation. This is how an encapsulation is achieved in programming. Yes. So mainly it is achieved by making the class or an object or a method or a constructor or a variable or a property into a private members, and letting only the persons who comes through my method can access that objects, or can take the values in it. So we'll be seeing an example for all these concepts. Don't worry. So whenever we see an example, it will be easy for you to understand it in a clear. But just for this introduction session, I want to tell you what are the concepts are there and what are the things and how we are going to achieve it in programming. Yes, I hope this is clear. So what are the concepts that we are going to learn in object-oriented programming concepts? Yes, so one is object, another one is class, another is inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, and encapsulation. Yes. Is anyone having any doubts in it? Is it clear? So these are the things that we are going to learn in this topic, in this module. Yes, good. So first object. So object means a real-time entity. So just look around you. So maybe you will be having this is nothing but we have already seen it. What is meant by object? So every real-time entity is going to be an object. Even a mouse, the mouse is going to be a generalized class. But the mouse which I'm going to hold, that is going to be that is a type of logistic which has the specific ID number, or which has a specific type number, which has the range, which has a capacity, or which has a battery capacity. So which is supported by these operators. So this is a single object that refers to a mouse class. So mouse is a generalized class which will refer to all the mouses. So the previous session, I have told you with an example like a laptop or a mobile. Correct? Yes. So this is what an object. So the objects that are present inside me or before me, everything that we are able to see is an object. Yes. And each object has its own properties. Correct? Each object has its own values, or it has its own properties, or it has its own attributes, values, everything. Whatever may be the object. Yes. So this is just a book definition that they have given. So like any entity that has a state and the behavior is known as an object. A state is nothing but the properties. The properties or the values that is related to my object, and the behavior is nothing since how this object is going to be used. So like the mouse, I'm going to scroll up or I'm going to scroll down, I'm going to move to right, left, or up or down, or I'm going to do in a circle manner or in a free manner. So this is the behavior that the mouse is going to do. Correct? So how this mouse, the mouse which I'm holding, is going to do, that is the behavior that is related to my object. Yes. Any entity that has a state and behavior is known as an object. Yes. In general, object can be defined as an instance of a class. See, these are book definitions. Yes. But you know that how an object is created in a programming way. In a programming way, how we are going to create an object. Yes, by using this new keyword and assigning a memory for it, and I'm going to start to assign a value for it. Correct? The value which we are going to assign is the state, and the functions which are accessed through that object is called behaviors. The methods that I'm going to access through that variable is called behaviors, or the methods is called my behavior, and the value that I'm going to assign for this object, that is my property, is called my state. Is this clear, guys? So there is a last point I have added. An object contains an address and takes up some spaces in my memory. Actually, by using that new keyword, we'll be creating a memory. And this object, the student, example student S1. So S1 is just a reference variable which is just going to hold the address where my actual object is created. Correct? Student S1. S1 is a reference variable which is going to hold the starting address or the address where my object has been actually created in my JVM or my Python or wherever it is. Yes. So that is my object. Is it clear, guys? What is my object? So consider in Java, everything is going to be an object. Everything is going to be related to objects. Everything will take place within the objects alone. Yes, is that clear? Yes. So next is nothing but a class. So class is nothing but a collection of an object, or you can tell that is a blueprint of an object. A blueprint of an object. So which is going to be a generalized term. So a class is a collection of objects is a general definition that was given in a books or in any reference materials. But in general, we know that how this class is going to work, because if I want to create an object like a student S1, then this student is a class, or it is going to be user defined data type which contains all the properties of my student and also what are the things that a student is going to do. Yes. So that is the class. So class is just a blueprint for an object. It's a blueprint of an object. Yes. There are types of classes. There are inner class, or we can tell it as an nested class. We'll be seeing these in the next coming classes. So how to create a nested class, or how to create an inner class, and how to access it, or how to create an object for it, or how to access that, or access the inner class properties. That everything we'll be seeing in the next classes. But just know this: what is a class? Yes. Yes, guys. Is there anyone having any doubts in this class? So next is going to be or my seniors, from where I am going to inherit something. So this is going to be a general book definition. So when an object acquires all the properties and behaviors of a parent object, it is known as inheritance. So when an object is going to acquire all the properties and also the behaviors from a parent class, so that is called an inheritance. Okay, so what is the use of this? So for example, maybe okay, maybe I can use. Okay, just a minute, guys. I'm just going to stop my sharing, and again I'm going to start my sharing. Just a minute. Okay, for example, I have a class called car, class car, class car, or I can tell it in general, I can tell it as a motor vehicle. Guys, please see that how I'm using my naming conventions. It's very, very important. So any motor vehicle, I'm just not going to keep or specify it as a car, or it is going to be a bicycle, or it is going to be a motorcycle, or anything. So any vehicle, it's going to have a wheels. So I'm just going to have count of wheels. count of wheels. And after that, how many passengers can this vehicle can hold? So that is my in count of passengers. Count of passengers. And it is going to be, so maybe color. It should be having a colors, correct? So color in the sense is going to be a string color. The string color. And yes, yes, this is fine. This is fine. I hope this is fine. This will do. And also it has some specific function. So some specific function like um, okay, so maybe I can add one more thing. So like int gears or number of gear or number of shifts it have. So it's nothing but number of gears. In our sense, it's going to be number of gears. In common term, it will be called as number of shifts. So now we have this. So we have some methods like public int current speed. Because every vehicle is going to have some speed, but at which speed I'm going to go, that going to be differed. So current speed is going to be calculated based on the performance of my so current shift which I'm going, and also what is the performance of my engine. So based on that, my current speed will be determined, correct? So okay, in general, we don't want to keep this as a common method because this will change for each vehicles. Maybe I can keep a different common method like display details. Display details. So this will do things. So like display details in the sense it is going to display all the details of my machine. All the details of my machine. Going to give the so vehicle count or wheel count. So number of wheels is going to be plus, I can tell it as a count wheels. Count wheel. So similarly, I'll be adding some other things. So this is going to be common for all the vehicles. Okay, sir. So yes. Guys, can you able to follow this? Yes. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create another class. So this class is going to be a motorcycle. Motorcycle. So this class is also going to hold all these things. So int count vehicles, count. So this class is also going to hold all this same things except it has, so it is going to have something unique for it. It will also add something unique for it, correct? So like where this motorcycle is going to be used, whether it is going to be or it is going to be used for a mountain climbing, or whether it is going to be used in it's going to be a normal use for a vehicle roads. So like that, it has a different role in it, correct? So based on that, it is going to change. So we don't want to create all those things again and again. So what we can do is we can just give the difference alone here, like string type of my motor vehicle. String type of my motor, it will specify the type in which this motorcycle is going to be used, like whether it's going to be used in a game, so whether it's going to be normal use, or whether it's going to be used in a hill climbing like that. So except all these rest of these details can be inherited from my above class. So for that, I'll be using this keyword extend. Extend my motor vehicle. So what happens is I can extend all the details from this. I can access all this. This is called properties, or this is called state, and this is called behavior. How this object is going to behave. So this is my properties or the state of my class, and this is my behavior or the methods for my object, correct? So I can directly inherit all those things from my superclass, so that I don't want to create again and again. So this is called code reusability. So this is how we are going to achieve code reusability in this. Can you all able to understand this? Can you all able to understand this? Yes. Okay. Thank you. Yes. Okay. Just I'm stop sharing and again. So this is called inheritance. Just I'm going to inherit the properties and the behaviors from my parent class, so that I don't want to create again and again for other classes. So this is called code reusability. Yes. So this will also, so by this also we can achieve polymorphism. This is not the only way to achieve runtime polymorphism, but this is also a way to achieve runtime polymorphism. So I'll be explaining with an example like runtime polymorphism. What is a compile time polymorphism? Runtime polymorphism. I'll be explaining with an example. But this is one way to achieve runtime polymorphism. Yes. So next thing is polymorphism. Polymorphism, as I already mentioned, is going to be one task is performed by different ways. Yes. So we use method overloading and method overriding. We'll be seeing about constructor overloading. We'll be seeing about method overloading and also overriding. So how it's going to be overridden. So while using inheritance, we'll be using this overriding. If I'm not using inheritance, then I'll be using this overloading. Yes. So you'll be seeing with an example. So how we are going to achieve polymorphism in our programming is by using this overloading and overriding concepts. I hope you already know about this, what is overloading and overriding. So later in the next sessions, we'll be seeing this example, seeing with an example how to achieve this polymorphism and what is the overloading, what is this overriding. We'll be seeing in an example. So that is called polymorphism. And the fifth one is going to be abstraction. Abstraction of the sense is going to be showing only the relevant data or hiding the irrelevant data. So that is my abstraction. So in Java, how we are going to achieve this abstraction is by using this abstract class and interfaces. So we'll be seeing about interface in detail. So either we'll be using abstract class or whether by using this interface. So by using this, we'll be achieving this abstraction. And for encapsulation, we'll be achieving this. I hope you already know what is the encapsulation. It is hiding up or wrapping up of data or hiding up of data or binding up of data. Anything is correct. So book example is like this. So binding or wrapping code and data together into a single unit is known as encapsulation. Yes. So this was given in our T point. And this is the same sentence or same sentence that will be given in books definitions. So, but in Java, how we are going to achieve this by using this getters and setters and making all the members as a private members, and by using getters and setters. So getters and setters are nothing but the methods which will, as I mentioned, so who is going to come and who is going to get the product. So that is called getters. And the setters is nothing but who is going to set the values and how they are going to access the values. So that is my setters. I'll be explaining with an example here. But in Java, how we are going to achieve this encapsulation is by using these getters and setters and making all the data members as a private. Yes. So this is how we will be achieving our encapsulation in Java. So for everything, we'll be seeing an example. Don't worry. And apart from this, there are some other concepts. There are some other concepts that are in OOPS. There are many things. There are still many things that are there in OOPS concepts. But the key features are association, aggregation, and composition. Association, aggregation, and composition. Yes. So why sir we are giving importance for only these association, aggregation, and composition? Because this association tells me how an object should be interlinked with other objects. Association, aggregation, and composition tells how these objects are interrelated to each other. Yes. So as I mentioned, so there are four types of associations. One is one-to-one or one-to-many or many-to-one or many-to-many. So I can relate one object to another one object, or I can relate one object to many objects. For example, we can take an example like this. Okay, one-to-one. A college has a principal. If there is a principal, then he should be in a college. That is a one-to-one relationship. Can you get it? So this will tell me the relationship between objects. Yes. How the objects can be used efficiently. So association, in the sense, it's a generalized term. It will tell us what are the types of associations that are there. So one-to-one relationship is possible. One-to-many is possible. So for example, for different HODs, for each department has a HOD, and for all the HODs there will be one principal. That is one-to-many. Yes, there is one to many relationship. Similarly, many HODs will have a one principal. Correct? So there is many to one. There is many to one. Yes, and many to many. So many students have many staffs. That is a many to many. Many staffs have many students. Correct? So there is a many to many relationship. So this is what association is. Association tells how an object is related to other objects. And what are the types of associations are there? There are four types of associations. One is one to many to one, many to many. So these are the normal relationship that is available, or how we can use our objects. So in specific, aggregation is a way to achieve association. So actually in general it is called as a weak relationship, because how we can tell that is, okay, a department has an assistant HOD, correct? Each department will have a assistant HOD. Each department has a assistant HOD. Whether if the assistant HOD is not there, will that department will run or not? If there is an assistant HOD in a department, if there is not an assistant HOD, whether the department will run or not, will work efficiently or not. Guys, can you able to hear me? I'm asking question. It will run efficiently. So just it has an assistant HOD, but without that also my department will run efficiently. So that is the relationship. That is a has a relationship. My department has an assistant HOD. My department has an HOD. My department has a staff. Has a staff. Correct? Each department has staffs. Correct? Each department has n number of staffs. Even without a single staff, the department will run efficiently. So that has a relationship. Department has a staff, or college has a student. Correct? College has a student, which will not be a strong relationship, because there are many staff, there are many students. So each object has many students. Each object has a many staffs. So that is the way. So that is the reason why it is called as a weak relationship. Because if a staff is going to be moving out of a college, then that place will be changed with different staff or different object. The same goes for a student. If a student is moving out of a college, then that place is going to be replaced by some other student. So even with his presence or without his presence, the college is going to run efficiently. So that is the has a relationship. So in sense, we can tell it as a department has a staff and college has a student. So that will be helpful for you. That is a has a relationship. And our composition. Composition is a strong relationship which says that without this person cannot have. Okay, actually the last line should not be there. Actually, it is the same line that is copied from my previous slide. Sorry, guys. So the last line it should not be there. Okay, maybe I should change that. Okay, fine. That is maybe that we can be here. Okay, later I can update it. Okay, so what it says is, if there is a college, then there should be a principal. If there is a department, then there should be a college, because department cannot exist alone. Similarly, a college cannot exist alone without any departments. Correct? So that is the strong relationship. If one is not there, if a college is not there, then there will be no departments. Correct? Can a department exist without a college? Can a department exist without a college? No, that is the strong relationship. If one entity is removed, then automatically all the other entities will also be removed. So that is the strong relationship. Yes. So that is in common sense we can tell it as a one-to-one relationship. It is one-to-one relationship. If one is there, then there should be another one. If the one is not present, then there will not be another thing. Yes. So these are some common Java ops concepts that are there. And before implementing this, because each OOPS concepts will be using many things. There is either a class, objects, or methods, or interface, or constant variable, anything. So for that, we should know what is this Java naming convention. I already told you what is the naming convention. Just I want to recall you with this. So these are the things. There is a class, interface, methods, variables, packages, and constants. So these are the main things we are going to use in Java, right? And each has a specific set of rules. So Java naming convention uses a specific set of rules. What is, so first thing is starts with and should be how it should be, and if there is a multiple word and how it should be have, and I have given an example here. So first, for a class, it should start with an uppercase. So as I'm shown you in this notepad, it should start with an uppercase letter. Similarly, interface, it should also start with an uppercase letter. And similarly, for methods, the first word should start with the lowercase. And for variables, the first word should start with the lowercase. And for package, it is going to be lowercase. All the letters in the package will be of lower cases. And constant, everything should be in uppercase. So constant in the sense, everything should be in uppercase. So similarly, it should be so class name should be of a proper noun. Interface is going to be it's going to be an adjective, like it is going to be a circle or runnable or run or like that. So it is going to be an interface. So when we are learning about interface, so we'll be learning what is this, how a name should be given. Similarly, verb is going to be an operation like run or start or print, anything. So that is going to be our verbs. And variables will not start with any special characters apart from this dollar sign or underscore sign. Except these two characters, it cannot start with any other special characters. And variable name should be a proper name, and there is no restriction like this should be like this, this should be like this. There is no specific restriction for variables. And for packages and constant, so constant follows the same procedure for variables. So there is no specific thing for package. So package is something like we'll be seeing here, like java.language.util, like that. So these are some naming conventions that should be followed while we are starting to code with Java. Yes. So this is very, very important, guys. So just note this. This is mainly important for Java naming conventions. Yes, guys. So if there is a multiple word and every word's first character should be in uppercase, the same is going for interface. For method and variable is going to be the second word starting letter should be in a capital or it should be in uppercase. And similarly, in package, all the letters will be in lowercase, and for constant, all the characters will be in a uppercase. Yes. Example I have given here. So for constant, everything will be represented in a capital letters, and for packages, everything will be in a lowercase, like java.util.star or java.io.star or anything. So variable names, it should not start with a special character. That's it. So except the dollar sign or underscore sign, or we cannot use any other So there is no specific restriction for variables. So that's what we are using here. And methods. So methods will be first character will be small, and the second word's first character will be in a capital. Similarly, for class and interface, the first character will be in a capital letters. So this is very, very important. So this is the naming conventions. And in general, they'll be telling this as a camel casing. Camel casing. Camel casing in the sense the first character will be in small and the followed by second character will be in a capital. So this is called camel casing. So that's it, guys. So this is just an overview for our module 1 or the unit 1. So just an overview. What are the things that we are going to learn in object-oriented programming concepts? Yes. Is that clear? Is anyone having any doubts in this? Okay, guys. So thank you. So that's it. So if there's no doubt, you can close the session. Thank you all. Thank you for joining the session. If you have any doubts, you can ping me. Thank you all.